All right, I have seen Superman. I went and saw it for the second time last night. I saw it opening night, Friday, July 11th, and I'll be seeing it probably one more time in 2 days. Well, I guess tomorrow now because today's Wednesday. So, yeah, I'll be seeing it one more time with my family. They haven't seen it yet. Thursday, I saw it with Genevieve opening night. Saw it with RJ, as you all know, he's been on the pod before. Saw it with RJ last night, and then I probably won't see it again just because with Fantastic Four coming out next week, this is probably the last time I'll see it. Maybe there's a chance I see it a fourth time, but for the most part, I think this is it. And that's part of the reason this review's so late is because after I saw it, like I was planning on seeing it a second time, I was like, I'll just wait until after I've seen it twice to talk about it more deeply. And so that's why this review is a few days late. So what did I think? I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Like it's everything I wanted it to be. I mean, I wanted a Superman movie that was bright, that was colorful, that was, the big word tossed around this movie was hope, right? And it was full of that. It was, it was a positive, yeah, it felt like Superman. And that's what I wanted. Like, I remember when I went and saw the Batman, you go back and watch my review of the Batman. Quinn and I went and saw it together. It's a great big salad pod. We talked about it. The thing I said was, I've never seen a movie get Batman this much. Like it just there's two Batman's movies in my mind. There is a essentially like the animated series brought to life where it's a little more colorful, a little more fantastic. Fantastical is always the word people throw around, and I think it's accurate, right? Like kind of like the Arkham games or Batman the animated series brought to life, right? Or you can go a little more realism and you can do like super detective-y Batman, and that is what they did in the Batman. They made it like a crime movie. They made it like Seven. Both of those are like to me the like really good interpretations of Batman. We've gotten the one. I'm hoping for the DCU they do the other, which is essentially like the Batman the animated series in live action. This movie to me is the equivalent of the Batman to Batman, right? It's the Superman movie that just completely gets Superman more than any Superman movie before. I think the only Superman movie that gets Superman as much as this one are Superman, the movie from 1978 and Superman 2. I think those are the three that just 100% understand who Superman is. Superman 3 isn't good, and Superman Quest for Peace is better, but it's still not good either. Um, but those are the three Superman movies that I'm like, they just get who Superman is. And this one might be my favorite because David Cornsweet, it's like him and Christopher Reeve are the top. Like no one else is close. They are Superman. They just get it. And I love the like this movie is very positive. It's um Clark's kind of a dork. And I loved that about him. And I loved the way David Cornsweet portrayed him as he's someone who gets upset. He's someone who makes mistakes. He's someone who cares a lot, but he's also somebody who loves deeply, right? I mean, and this is full spoilers for what it is worth, I must state. The movie's been out for 5 days. If you're going to see it this weekend and you want to listen to my review, first of all, I really appreciate it. But second of all, just wait a few more days to listen to this review because I'm just doing full spoilers. Um, he tells Lois he loves her. They've been dating 3 months. That is like the most Clark Kent shit of all time. It is so on brand. The only time Superman swears in this movie is when he's quoting someone calling him super shit. Everything else, if you notice, he says like, oh my golly, oh my gosh. He says, what the hey. And that's just like, that's on brand because he's just kind of like, he's just the nicest guy. And I love that James Gunn gets the fact that Superman is not Jesus. Like that's the way Man of Steel very much portrays him as like a perfect figure, almost like this godlike figure that is sent to Earth to be like its prodigal son, almost, right? And I think it's the proper use of prodigal son. My mom listens to this pod, and she's an English teacher, so I'm sure she'll let me know if that was proper. But they make it very clear Clark is not that. And even so, they changed his origin in this movie to Kal-El being sent to rule the earth, to lord over the people. And it makes him not even more so not that godlike figure because his roles be bad, right? Like he makes a choice to be more human and to care about the humans and to want to help the people and to be a good person. And I think it's interesting because I was sitting there in the theater thinking about, like, this is weird to think this was originally titled Superman Legacy. And I'm really glad they changed it. I think Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which is the next DCU film, it could have just been called Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I don't think that's too much, but I think Superman is just cleaner than Superman Legacy. Somebody literally made the meme from Social Network where it's like, drop the legacy, it's cleaner. But it also works because Superman 1978 is called Superman the movie, so technically you can distinct them through that if you want, or you can just call this Superman 2025, whatever, right? But it makes sense why it would have been called that, because what type of legacy is he trying to leave? Because just because he was sent to Earth with, you know, the purpose of ruling over us and having the many wives, as they say, it's just fun. It's crazy to me that this is, like, I think going to go down as like a superhero classic, and like the word harem is used like 5 times. It's just funny. Like, not that that's like the craziest thing to be said, but it's pretty crazy. That's like a key point. It's just like, Superman, you have a secret harem? Like, it's just like, what? It's just wild. But like, there's gonna be a kid out there who asks their mom and dad what a harem is, and I'm just like, oh my. So but making it so that origin, I really don't mind the change, because it draws more attention to the idea that he is more human. He is the Kents. It just puts more emphasis on the Kents and how they raised him. And I'm perfectly happy with the Kents being alive, because I think there's something special about this grown-ass man who's the most powerful person on the planet, who still flies home to his parents that live in Kansas that are farmers and visits with them. I think that's really cool. I think it's really sweet. That's very Superman to me. And I just love the portrayals of the Kents. I mean, they're only in the movie for like 5 minutes, but they're awesome. Like, they're perfect in the movie. And that's really something that stood out to me that second time, is just paying attention to what they do with the Kents. Because once you know the twist is coming, you know, you're watching to see the groundwork they lay. And the Kents, I think, just really worked. And that's really a big heart of the movie. That's the whole end, you know, bookend is, you know, we're going to play the footage of his parents that soothes him, and then it's his childhood with the Kents. Set to Punk Rocker, which is now like a banger song, which I did not know before, but now it's got like that special. It's very funny because everyone now associates something in the way of Batman, and we have Punk Rocker for Superman, a song you never would have thought fit. You know, even me, like, I was a big fan of making it Starman, like, essentially like the theme for this movie. And James Gunn did not do that. He picked a song that I never would have thought fits Superman, but now, like, yeah, I think it really fits because of the story he told. And the whole scene with him and Lois, like, essentially the thesis of the film is the parents, the Kents, the scenes with the Kents, right? How your choices make you who you are. It's not about, you know, why you were sent here or anything. It's about what you do and your choices, and you chose to be a good person. And, you know, hopefully people come out of this movie feeling that they can choose to be a better person. And then the scene with Lois when she said she was some punk rock kid, and, you know, he's clearly not punk rock because he just believes everybody's beautiful. And he said maybe that's the real punk rock. That's the thesis of the movie. Is that, and that's a dorky thing to say. And I saw some tweet where some guy said behind him when he said that, the guy went, "What a fucking loser." And I'm like, yeah, that's Superman. Like, that means the script is perfect. If somebody saw that, thought that was corny as hell. Because Superman is corny. And I think that's what this movie understands, is that Superman is supposed to be corny. To a point, right? Like, it's not supposed to be so cheesy you can't stand it. But it's supposed to have some camp. It's supposed to have some fun. And there's been comparisons to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, and I see that. It feels more comic booky. It feels more larger than life. And I like that. And I think if the DCU continues that, that's a really fun universe to be in. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about on a broader perspective, is the DCU as a whole. But before we get to that, we got to continue with this movie, because I give credit to Corn Sweat. I love Rachel Brosnahan as Lois. I think their chemistry was impeccable, and I think she just 100% gets Lois. If Lois doesn't work, this movie doesn't work either. Their romance is a key piece of it. It's part of his motivation. That final kiss at the end of the movie, oh my gosh. Whew, it was perfect. It was perfect. And Superman, Lois, and Clark is probably, like, what? The most important romances in comics, right? Like, the most important dating relationships. It's probably Lois and Clark, Peter and MJ. There's an argument Peter and Gwen is third. That's truly an argument. But I would probably say it's Reed Richards and Sue Storm. No, it's Cyclops and Jean Grey. It's Cyclops and Jean Grey. Those are probably the three most important couples in comics that I can think of. Maybe somebody's got one that I'm not thinking of, but I feel like those are the big three, and then maybe fourth would be Sue Storm and Reed Richards. But Sue Storm and Reed Richards, it's really more the whole family of the Fantastic Four, more so than just those two. Whereas those three couples are like the three most important in my mind. And making that a key piece of the film is part of the reason I think it's such a great Superman movie, is because that has to be a key piece of the film. Lois and Clark's relationship has to be a large chunk of this movie, and it was. And I adored that about the movie. I thought it was awesome, and we're gonna leave Lex for last because I have many thoughts, and they are all positive. So let's talk about my boy Jimmy Olsen. Say hello to the best on-screen Jimmy Olsen we've ever seen, because Tyler Gisondo delivered it. The Jimmy Olsen being the most irresistible fuckboy plot is hilarious and perfect, and I love it. And I could see this Jimmy Olsen turning into a big turtle. That means it's perfect. That means it's a perfect Jimmy Olsen. I just gotta state, can we get a Jimmy Olsen TV show where he's just doing crazy shit and there's all these women that are into him? That would be awesome. That's what I want to see, ladies and gentlemen. But this is the best on-screen Jimmy Olsen we've ever seen. Like, the only one that I really was a big fan of was the Christopher Reeve one. This outdoes that, and I cannot wait to see more of him. Gisondo killed it, and he was perfect as Jimmy. And Miss Tessmacher, back again for another... the woman who played her, I don't know if she has much acting experience. I read when she was initially cast, like she's a Victoria's Secret model, and she did a really good job. And she was actually a key piece to the plot. And she does a great job, and I really loved Tessmacher in this, and I think it's fun that they brought her back. I mean, she wasn't originally in Superman comics. Like, Mario Puzo created her. Yes, that Mario Puzo. He wrote the initial screenplay for Superman the movie, which is just crazy. But Mario Puzo created her. That's essentially like the Superman Harley Quinn. How Harley Quinn wasn't in the comics until Paul Dini created her for Batman the Animated Series. Well, she was created for Superman the movie. And Miss Tessmacher, I think, is a great character, and I'm really glad that she was in this because it was really fun the way they portrayed her. I thought she was really fun. And we should talk about the Justice Gang because, while I liked Isabella Moner as Hawkgirl, don't get me wrong, but Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific just had more to chew on. They did. They just had more to do. I would like to see more of Hawkgirl in the future, but they just gave Guy Gardner pretty much every line of his is funny, and Nathan Fillion killed it as Guy Gardner, and it's a character that I'm sure there's gonna be people coming out of this movie. Like, there's gonna be some dads that was their favorite character when he's doing the middle finger Green Lantern powers. The best Green Lantern powers we've seen on screen. Like, it was creative. It wasn't just big guns and shields. Like, he made big oven mitts. He made a little thing to poke at the kaiju's eye. Like, it was perfect. And I keep just saying more positive things, but this is truly what I thought of it. I was just thrilled watching this. I was so happy. This is the best on-screen Green Lantern I've seen power-wise in a live-action film, and I'm really excited for the Lantern show. Like, whew! Cannot wait to see what they do with that. But the big standout, and the one that I walked out of this movie and I said to Genevieve, I was like, yeah, people are going to go nuts over him. Like, he's going to get really popular now, and that's awesome because he's always been not a mainstream DC character at all. Like, people who read comics, like, I know Mr. Terrific, but people are like, I don't think my mom knows who Mr. Terrific is. And there's going to be a lot of kids that watch this movie, and their new favorite guy is Mr. Terrific. And that's awesome. And Eddie Gathegi, I mean, come on. He killed it. He killed it as Mr. Terrific. I have had so many people ask me about Mr. Terrific now and be like, hey, what's his deal? He's cool. I'm like, yeah, he's awesome. And it's so cool that James Gunn made a conscious effort to pick Mr. Terrific to elevate. Because James Gunn loves to do this. I mean, he loves to take these smaller characters and elevate them. I mean, Peacemaker cameos in this, and that Peacemaker cameo may have got the biggest laugh in my entire theater. Like, I'm really happy that people know who Peacemaker is now. And I'm really excited for Peacemaker Season 2. I'm a big fan of Peacemaker Season 1. Did that win TV show of the year 2023? I think it did. I think it did. Out of the things I watched 2023, I have to look back, but I believe it did. Super excited for the new season of Peacemaker, and I just think it's James Gunn's really good at elevating those characters to new heights, and for him to kind of pick Mr. Terrific and say, "Boom, you're gonna be a big deal now," and give him the spotlight was just awesome. And there's been people talking online like, is he gonna take the place of Cyborg in the Justice League as like the tech guy? Maybe, and I'd be fine with that because Cyborg I think fits better to Teen Titans anyway, and I think Mr. Terrific is awesome. But what I'd rather see than him in the Justice League is let's get a Terrifics movie. I mean, Metamorpho's in the movie. Metamorpho's in this movie. And I liked Anthony Carrigan's performance as him. So I just get Phantom Girl in there, get John Mulaney as Plastic Man. Let's run it. Like, come on. So, Terrifics movie, please. That's what I would like to see. Terrifics movie would be awesome. But, I mean, Mr. Terrific is, and he gets the big James Gunn one shot music in the background fight scene. He gets the Yondu fight scene. He gets the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 hallway fight scene. He gets the Guardians of the Galaxy 1 Star-Lord in the beginning fight scene. He gets the cool music fight scene. Who has that in Suicide Squad? Does Harley Quinn have it with like the flowers and everything? There might be multiple in Suicide Squad. Because I also, this scene when Peacemaker and Bloodsport compete to see who can take out the guys faster at the camp is also like that. So, anyways, I should rewatch the Suicide Squad. Damn, that movie's good. But Mr. Terrific has been like the big winner of this movie, and I'm so happy because Mr. Terrific is a character like for what it's worth, it's never been like I've been like, oh, I love Mr. Terrific, but I always thought he was a cool character, and when he cast him, I was like, this is interesting. Like, this is clearly a choice, and you are making a conscious choice here. There's got to be something here, and there clearly was, and it was awesome. So I was beyond thrilled with Mr. Terrific, and I was like, hell yeah. So, pretty cool. All right. I think we talked about all the characters we want to talk about. Oh, the guy from... Isn't that guy from Outer Banks? The guy in LexCorp? I thought I recognized him from Outer Banks. I just thought it was funny. I should have looked into that. If someone watches Outer Banks watches this, you know what I'm talking about. But the big one. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. I mean, come on. Come on. You guys know I was stoked for this performance. I was prepared to get the best on-screen interpretation of Lex Luthor. Because the top, for reference, Clancy Brown, the animated series, Michael Rosenbaum, Smallville. You've never had a movie one be as good as them. Is Holt the best? I think you could talk me into it, but I think he's right on par with those. That's like the holy trinity of Lex Luthor performances. And one of them is a movie, one of them's live action TV show, and one of them's animated. So it kind of balances well, right? But oh my gosh, did he kill it. And part of it is the antics. Lex Luthor creating a pocket dimension. He goes, I recreated the Big Bang. Come on. That's the most Lex Luthor shit of all time. When he's got monkey bots that spam hate comments about Superman, the most Lex Luthor shit of all time. That feels ripped straight up like a Superman comic from like 1965. Where he's like, I've been training these monkeys, Superman, to spread hate about you across newspapers in America. Like that's what it feels like. They're that clip from, was it Superman the Animated Series or Justice League, when he goes, that's right, I spent $78 million on a presidential campaign just to piss Superman off. A fake presidential campaign, whatever that line is, that Clancy Brown, Lex Luthor says. They're like, people were saying this is like the first Lex in a movie that you feel like could say that and you believe it. Like he could say that line. I'm like, yeah. This is probably the first Lex Luthor in a movie that I could see wearing the purple shirt, green pants, outfit, hanging out with the Legion of Doom. Like, Yeah, he can do that. His speech when he talks about envy and how it drives him, and then it ends with him going 1A. That scene was awesome. It was the most Lex Luthor shit of all time. Like they just nailed Lex Luthor. It was exactly the way I wanted him to be, and I mean, going into this movie with Ultraman, I was interested, is it going to be Bizarro, which I think they set it up for in the future. He could be Bizarro, like he went down that black hole, and I think he could come back as Bizarro in the future. But what is it going to be? And making it simple and just being like, it's a clone of Superman. Okay. Then it just puts Lex is the main villain of this film. There's no twist halfway through, and oh, it's Bizarro, oh, it's Doomsday, oh, it's. I mean, I was gonna say Mongol, but like clearly Mongol wasn't gonna be the villain of this film. You know, just saying, like, I would be shocked if we ever get a Superman movie where Mongol is the main villain. Like, no, that's nothing against Mongol. I actually think he's an underrated Superman villain. I genuinely think he should be used more. But, like, I just don't ever see them doing him in a live action. I just don't. But, Brainiac needs to be next. We need Brainiac. Like, come on. The fact it hasn't been done yet is absurd. I'm really glad it was just straight up Lex Luthor. And I like the fact that Lex Luthor didn't get the power armor and go out and fight him. I'm glad we saved that for the future. And it also just works better that if Lex Luthor is this guy with all these little minions and all this little plan, and he's got it all worked out. And Superman is essentially just Superman against all that, against this large corporation, against all these minions, against this cloned version of him that has like fighting moves planned out by Lex. Like, it works really well because they're so different that way. When Superman blasts into LexCorp, Lex looks like a little bitch, and that's how it should be, because he's just a guy compared to Superman. But he has all this power around him. Superman has no power around him. He's just a guy who's trying to do the right thing, but he's filled with a bunch of strength. Lex isn't physically strong, but he has all this political pull and stuff like that, and it really works that way. I like that. I like that dichotomy. Like, I really do. I think that was really well done, and I actually prefer that over Lex making him essentially Superman light with like a power armor or something. I think we should see the power armor in the future. Don't get me wrong. But for this movie, I think it really worked the way they did it. And let's talk about the movie as a whole, like the world and everything to it. A very funny movie. And I think the comedy is different than the MCU. It's not like, it's more genuine, I would say. It's less like sarcastic than the MCU. And I like that it felt different. I really enjoyed it. And I think it's funny because you see some sentiment when people are like, oh, the movie's too jokey. I'm like, in my opinion, when I read a comic book, they're usually cracking jokes. Like Superman saying like, hey buddy, eyes up here, feels written straight out of a comic book. Or even the part that like some people get mad about, like at the end of the big fight, when Superman goes, I was doing important stuff to Mr. Terrific. I'm like, that also feels like something he would say in a comic. Like, to me, all this stuff feels very on brand. Like, I don't know. There has been, like, I'm saying, I know some people that have said, like, you know, it says, I don't know if I actually, for what it's worth, not, well, I did know someone in person who said this to me. I take it back. That they're like, it kind of feels like he Star-Lorded Superman a bit. And I don't feel that way. I still think it feels very on brand the way he wrote Superman. I do not think it feels like Star-Lord Superman, but you know what I'm saying? Everybody's up their own opinion. That was just, I did want to say, I didn't feel that at all. I really didn't. And one could say I am blinded by how excited I was to this film. And I could say, maybe you're right. But I just adored the movie. So I don't know. I don't know if I was blinded. Maybe. Who knows? I did say to Genevieve, we were sitting in the theater, little DC logo flashes, and I said, if this movie opens up with the John Williams theme, instant 10 out of 10. And then it did. I was like, yes. Yes. Yes, baby. So let's talk about the world of the DCU. I do. Oh, wait, one more thing. I love the joke when they're in the like white, like they're in the meeting with like they're in the meeting with the different. This is just more Lex stuff. I love like every Lex scene in this. Like I love the roulette scene. The roulette scene is so Lex Luthor, and it's so Superman. He gets so upset, and I even like the joke from Lex after, and he goes, "Oh, that went a lot faster than I thought it would." Because it feels very Lex, where it's like none of this matters to him. Like he thinks so highly of himself. He thinks he's so powerful that it's just a jet. Like he just killed a man. He's just like, oh well, that's a shame. Like it's just casual. It's very Lex Luthor, and I also love when Lex Luthor says the line when he's like, I didn't, I didn't want to kill you because of the conflict with Jarnpur and Baravia. I created the conflict between Jarnpur and Baravia so I could kill you. That was just the most like, oh my gosh, guys, it's so Lex Luthor. But when he's meeting with the White House officials, and they're talking about safety, and the one guy's like, "What's this kryptonite stuff? Yeah, what's this kryptonite stuff called?" And it cuts to Nicholas Hoult, and he's like, "It's called kryptonite," and then it cuts away. It was super well timed. Like it was impeccable comedic timing there from the editing team. So props to them because that was hilarious. So, all right, the world itself. So James Gunn has said in interviews that he sees DC's universe because you're in fictitious cities. Almost more like a Star Wars, where it's not a part of the real world. It's like its own sci-fi universe. And this opens with, anybody who's seen it knows, like the 3 centuries ago, 3 decades ago, 3 years ago, like that whole thing. I really liked that. And it does, like, this movie does not hold back. It understands you've seen superhero movies before. You understand, like, it introduces a clone for Superman casually. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I cloned you. Like, it's not even a big deal. There is no point when Green Lantern Guy Gardner shows up and they go, there's no Nick Fury being like, Guy Gardner is part of the Green Lantern Corps based out of Oa. Most we know is they can create constructs with their minds. Yellow is their weakness. Hawk Girl. Like, there's none of that. Like, there's no, here, audience, here's who you're seeing. It's like, no, you understand superheroes. Like, you don't understand Mr. Terrific's powers, but you can put it together, and then he'll give you one line about T-spheres. You can understand from there. Like, okay. And I like that. It felt like being thrown into a comic book. Because there's no point in a comic book where they do that. You just pick it up as you go. You understand how it works. They don't ever have Nick Fury explaining it to you. And I liked that. And I really hope people like that. Based off the box office numbers, people have liked that. RJ and I were talking about it last night. I am most likely going to win our first ever box office draft between this, How to Train Your Dragon, F1, and Jurassic World. Like, even if Weapons does poorly, I think I should win. But I enjoyed that it feels like being chucked into a Saturday morning cartoon, being chucked into a comic. And it's not that it's, like, incomprehensible. Like, you can understand what's happening. It's just, they don't take time to sit you down and be like, now here's who this is. Like, that just doesn't happen in this movie. And I like that. Once again, it feels like an episode of Justice League Unlimited. Like, and that's clearly what James Gunn's pulling from. When he started the DCU, I thought, based off what James Gunn done in the past, he was going to pull a lot from Justice League International, because we saw Guy Gardner being introduced, announced the Booster Gold show, Blue Beetle already exists. For those who don't know, in the 80s, Justice League International was led by Maxwell Lord, who's also been casted by James Gunn's brother. Sean Gunn's going to play him. He was in this movie, he cameoed. I also love the part when Lex Luthor's on the news and he's like, you seem upset, and he goes, I'm just scared. That's, oh my gosh, it's so good. Holt just killed it. Like, he just killed. I love Corn Sweat of Superman. I think they are like equal level perfect to me. Brosnahan is also there too. I think they all, like Olsen. I just love the cast, but Holt is Luthor is so good. But I'm also just such a Lex Luthor fan. He's my favorite DC villain, potentially just my favorite supervillain in general. I love Lex Luthor. So back to it. Bradley Cooper as Zor-El. That's fun. I like how we've kept the trend of it being a big actor, like, because it was Russell Crowe in Man of Steel, and then of course it was Marlon Brando in Superman the movie. But Justice League International in the 80s, it's kind of the misfit band of Justice League. The Justice League comic wasn't selling as well. They decided to go a different direction. Pick some like lesser known characters, like it was like Red Tornado and Mr. Miracle, Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, Guy Gardner, I'm sure there's other people I'm forgetting. I can't remember if Wonder Woman was on the roster or not. Obviously, she's not lesser known. But like Batman was really one of the only big ones on that roster. And Maxwell Lord was like their government guy that like sent them out on missions. And it's a really fun comic. I own it. I should reread it. And that was really good. And I think when James Gunn started the DCU, that's the way I thought he was going to take it. Because I'd feel very on brand for him, like the Misfit Justice League being his Justice League. That's not what he's doing. After seeing this, he is so clearly doing the animated series in live action. That's what he's pulling from. He's pulling from Justice League Unlimited. He's pulling from the Justice League show. He's pulling from Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series. That's the vibes he's going for in live action. And in my opinion, the best interpretations we've ever seen in DC Comics are those shows. So I get it. Like if the X-Men Marvel movies were essentially X-Men 97 live action, I would like ascend. It would be awesome. But that's the thing. The MCU has always felt like, what if we made superheroes in our real world? And part of that is just the way the Marvel Universe is written. Because, the cities are real. There's not a lot of fictitious stuff. Whereas DC, he has really made it clear this is not the real world. This is like its own like sci-fi superhero comic booky universe. It feels very similar, I felt like, to the world of like Invincible. And I really like that. Invincible is obviously like a parody a little bit of DC and Marvel universes, but it just feels like a superhero world. Guy Gardner's eating cereal in a diner in full costume. That's just like a thing that happens. There's never gonna be one of these movies where like at least in the way he's setting up the DCU, where like you gotta tone down like they had to tone down Captain America's costume and make it more like spy looking for Winter Soldier. Like they're not gonna do that. Like they're just not. Because like in the Marvel Universe, and I love the MCU, don't get me wrong, it's not me shitting on it. I am just saying it is a different interpretation. MCU, especially early on, was very real world superheroes because that's what people wanted at the time, right? And then after like Guardians of the Galaxy, you start to get away from that more. Once obviously Infinity War is not that way. Infinity War feels a lot more comic booky. But I think the MCU is honestly kind of at their best when they're doing stuff that's more real world. Like, for being honest, Thunderbolts, a lot more of that old MCU feels more real world style. That's kind of when they're at their best. When is James Gunn at his best? When he's going very comic booky. The Suicide Squad is one of the most comic book feeling superhero movies ever made. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 through 3 are all like bonkers comic booky. And I think James Gunn is easily the best superhero movie director, especially after this. This is like the official stamp. Because he just adapted the superhero. Like Superman is the superhero. And I'm 100% sure this movie is going to turn people around from Superman is boring. Because it's a completely different interpretation of Man of Steel. It is not he's this perfect godlike being, very realistic. Like they're trying to make it realistic, right? He's more alien, darker. They're not doing that. They're going more comic booky. They're going more colorful. They're going more hopeful. They're going more positive. And I think people are going to see this and they're going to realize, oh yeah, I love Superman. Because of course you did. He's the blueprint. If you like Invincible, guess what? You like Superman. Because that's what he's doing. He's pulling from that. Right? Like every superhero, he is the original superhero. Everything is off this. It's like saying you love romance movies, but you don't like Romeo and Juliet. Like, yes, you do. Whether you realize it or not, you do. And that's what's going on with Superman. We finally got a good interpretation that shows people you do like Superman. He's awesome. And that's why this movie is so good to me, is because I've been waiting for a Superman movie to show people that. As someone who's a massive Superman fan, people tell me all the time, they're like, you like Superman more than Batman? Like when we're talking about superhero stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I just don't see it. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like there's really, I love Superman. He's great. And I think people are going to understand it more after this, and that's awesome. People are going to know Mr. Terrific is. Like, that's awesome. Now, granted, I really enjoyed how they had the other heroes in this. I see some sentiment that, like, oh, it feels really packed full of characters, blah, blah, blah. I like that. I think there's a real argument to the idea of doing a Superman movie that's just Superman, Clark, Lois, Jimmy, Lex, all that. But I also like, once again, it feels more into that Saturday morning cartoon. Like this DCU, because of that vibe it's going for, it feels like it fits to me. It's like they're just characters in this universe, and I really enjoyed that aspect. Like once you wrap your brain around what it's going for, that comic booky Saturday morning cartoon vibe, then yeah, then it feels right to me. And so I really liked that. Gosh, what else? I guess we should talk about the larger DCU, and I think I've said that 3 times now, so my bad. But the larger DCU, this is, I think, an incredible start to the DCU. I really do. And I think Supergirl showing up at the end was fun. Really excited for her movie because I think they're really going to heavily pull from Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King, which everybody should read. It's very good. And Crypto was like really important in this movie in a way I didn't expect, but it worked for me. I liked it. I just, once again, factoring into that like cartoonish thing they're doing, like that worked for me. I liked that. I forgot to state. I was like, I can't believe I didn't mention that. But anyways, the Supergirl movie, I mean, the way she showed up and the way she was acting, that's how she's going to have to act in her movie. That fits. It's going to be super sci-fi space. It's not going to feel like this at all. And I'm excited. I think it's going to be excellent. So I cannot wait for Supergirl. Hopefully people show up for that because it is going to be very different than this, but I think it'll work. I do. But very excited for that. But I'm going to be honest, I might be more excited for Clayface because it's such a swing to say you're making a Clayface movie. That, you know, the script that Mike Flanagan pitched James Gunn had to be incredible. Like, you're not doing it unless the idea was so good you couldn't turn it down, because a Clayface movie is a bonkers choice. So the fact that that's going to come out next September, I cannot wait for. So I'm really excited for that next year. That's going to be awesome. Like, I'm really intrigued to see what they're cooking up. But larger DCU stuff, we get Peacemaker season 2 next month, and Peacemaker. Like I said, Peacemaker showed up in this. People went crazy, and I'm glad people know Peacemaker now. Excited for Peacemaker season 2. Really enjoyed Peacemaker season 1, and then we have the Lantern show coming out in early 2026. I'm hoping like March. That's what I'm hoping for, something like that. I'm really intrigued to see what that looks like, and I'm very excited because I really loved with the Guy Gardner here, and he's not going to be one of the main characters. It's going to be Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, and that's going to be Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan and Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart, and I'm really excited for that, and I think that could be a hit for DC, and so that'll hopefully come out before Supergirl. We'll be a Supergirl next summer. Clayface, and where's that Booster Gold show at? Because I want to see it. Where's it at? We don't even have Booster Gold cast. Come on, like, Superman's a hit. You're making good money. Let's get the Booster Gold show rolling. People want to see it. Come on. Let's get the Booster Gold show out here. I want to see Booster Gold. That'd be awesome. Come on. They announced it. Let's go. But the Authority movie's still up in the air. Swamp Thing's still up in the air. But realistically, we're going to get announcements probably pretty soon for Wonder Woman or Batman, because he's really trying to get them going, because you got to have the Trinity. And I think he's probably going to cast a nobody for Batman. Probably another nobody for Wonder Woman, like smaller actors that haven't done as much. And I really like that. I think it kind of worked for them, which is funny because I think I've complained before about how the MCU used to cast big actors. And oh no, never mind. I remember this complaint now because I remember saying something a while back. And basically, what I talked about in the past is what the MCU used to do really well is they would take a smaller actor and make them the lead, and make a bigger actor like the villain or a side character. So then for contract purposes, you were making a star out of an actor. Now the MCU, because they're so big, they cast a star as a character, and the side characters are smaller characters. And the side characters are smaller actors. And I don't know if I like that as much, because it was fun that we were making stars out of these movies. And James Gunn just did that with Superman. Like, David Cornsweet, most people probably saw him in Twisters as like a pseudo antagonist. Now he is the superhero. He's a big star. So that's awesome. Rachel Brosnahan, most famous for Marvelous Miss Maisel. Boom. Now she was this. Is she going to get bigger stuff after this? Most likely. Holt was already a pretty big deal. Probably should say. But for Batman, are we going to make a star out of somebody else? Like, please. I think that'd be awesome. So I would really like that. I would really enjoy if that's the route they go for Batman and Wonder Woman. I like that style of let's make a star out of somebody. Now, granted, if the best choice is someone that's a bigger name, that's of course do that. But I think it's fun to kind of make stars out of these newer actors and actresses, and that's what James Gunn's trying to do, at least with this movie. Millie Alcock was kind of on the rise because of House of the Dragon. But once again, it's not like, he went out and got like the biggest female actress to be Supergirl. Like he's kind of in his bag, and I like that, and I hope DC continues to do that. So last thing, we'll talk about the overall DC Universe main villain, because I don't think they're going to do Darkseid. I don't think they're going to do Crisis on Infinite Earths. I think we're going to do Blackest Night. I do. I think the Lantern show could potentially set up an evil Hal Jordan for a Justice League movie, and then evil Hal Jordan would eventually then factor into a Blackest Night movie down the line. Because I don't think you do the first Justice League isn't probably your first big movie, but Blackest Night down the road. Like I'm talking, they said they have a 10-year plan for the DCU, right? Okay, could you do first Justice League evil Hal Jordan, second Justice League something else, third Justice League is Blackest Night? Maybe, right? But that's the thing with the DC universes I'm really excited about is, out of, when it comes to Marvel, and I love Marvel and DC, I go through periods where I like one more than the other. Lately, I've been in the DC mood more. Fantastic Four and the X-Men are kind of their two big pieces left out of their universe that are untapped. Honestly, at this point, Miles Morales Spider-Man will also be a big deal. So that's kind of the big things they have left to put in the MCU. And to be honest, in my opinion, you could just do like a whole saga of X-Men movies and basically do nothing but X-Men movies, and it could work. Because the X-Men universe is almost like its own universe inside Marvel. And there's really nothing else like that. And there's DC doesn't really have an equivalent to that. Like the X-Men, one could argue Batman, honestly, has his own, I guess Batman would be the only equivalent. But the X-Men stuff is just so broad. You could just do X-Men stuff. I mean, the X-Men had their own franchise for a long time, and it worked. So I think Marvel, for the X-Men, should really lean into that and do a ton of X-Men stuff, because that's kind of their last big thing after Fantastic Four, and like I said, Miles Morales, Spider-Man get introduced. But when it comes to DC, there's so much untapped potential and so many things. Not just talking about the obvious stuff. We've never had a great Justice League movie. That's crazy, right? But even past that, you go and even, the Terrifics could be a great movie. Could we get a fun Metal Men movie? I'm trying to think a little weirder, right? Like Justice League Dark. That could be something, right? There's rumors about them doing a new Constantine with Keanu Reeves. And then you got James Gunn, who makes stars of characters like Peacemaker. Can he do that again? Could the Authority? The Authority was such an interesting choice when they initially announced the DCU, that I'm really intrigued to see if they still do it, because I think it could work. And so that's what I'm really excited about this new DC universe. I think there's a lot of untapped potential in the DC universe that they are going to unearth and make hits. And so really excited for where the DCU is headed. But as far as the movie itself, I loved Superman. The best movie that released so far this year. The only one that's close is F1, and I also loved F1. We already got 2 Hall of Famers that released this year. They're both locks. Superman is probably honestly going to be competing for best movie I watched in general this year. And I think part of it just means a lot to me. I can't really separate that. I wanted this to be good so badly because I want a great DC film universe, and I love the character of Superman. And so for it to be that, it just means a lot to me. And I guess I'll go back to, I remember seeing Spider-Man No Way Home in theaters with a group of friends. And one of my friends leaned over to me. It was the scene where they're all swinging around together, and they do the pose all together and stuff, right? My one friend leaned over, and he said, "Dude, could you imagine if this came out when we were younger? We would be obsessed with this movie." And I started laughing. I was like, yeah. I felt that way about Superman. If this came out when I was younger, like this would be like my Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. Because growing up, I watched the shit out of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I had the first one taped. I, to this day, can still quote like half that movie. Me and my sister watched the hell out of that movie. We watched it all the time. It's probably the reason Spider-Man's my favorite superhero. It's because I watched that movie so much. Like I also loved Superman the movie. I was like the early superhero movies I watched were the Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man 1 and 2. And I would watch 3 sometimes. But I got upset with Venom. He would upset me as a kid. I thought he was scary. I still kind of think he's scary, but whatever. And then I really liked Superman 1 and 2 with Christopher Reeve. Those were my big superhero movies when I was younger. And then as I got older, I really started watching the X-Men stuff. So I got really into X-Men, and then started watching the MCU, and then we were kind of off to the races. It took me a while actually to watch Batman because his movies were darker when I was a kid. But I think the earliest Batman I watched was the 1966 TV show. Watched a lot of that when I was younger. But back to it. This movie, there's going to be a kid out there, probably a lot of kids, that grow up with this movie and adore Superman and love this world because of this. That's going to mean something to those kids. And they're going to love the romance between Clark and Lois, and Lex Luthor is going to be their villain, and that's really cool. And that's what I think special about this movie is I think it's a special movie that will live on and have a real legacy, which is funny because originally it was called Superman Legacy. So that's what really stood out to me about it. Sitting there in the theater thinking about that, and I think it was awesome. So it lived up to my expectation, and my expectation was through the roof. So I adored it. Absolutely loved it. I think it's going to be a big hit for DC, and I'm so excited to see what's next. James Gunn said his next movie with Superman isn't exactly a Superman sequel. Look, I want to see him fight Brainiac. I don't care if it's with Supergirl or if it's World's Finest. I think he wants to do World's Finest. Which, like, I get. Because we've had a Batman Superman movie before, and they were fighting, which is... Come on. It should have been World's Finest. Like, come on. We should have been doing World's Finest. So I think that's what he wants to do. Which is, also going to be awesome. So, yeah, I adored Superman. If he becomes the Iron Man of this universe, like, whew, that'd be awesome. If he's just like the main, yeah, man. And he should be Superman, But, yeah. All right, that's it from me. You know what's funny is this pod is actually shorter than the episode. Let me check my data here, but I think this episode is actually shorter than the episode where I reviewed the trailer, because I talked about that trailer and what I was hoping to see in this movie so much that I actually think this is short. Yeah, that was an hour 18 just talking about the trailer. I actually want to go back and listen to that. I'm curious what I had to say for a half hour longer in this review. My goodness. All right, that's it. It was awesome. I loved it. See ya.